Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We've got coverage from CattleCon 25 in San Antonio, including thoughts from the incoming NCBA President. Plus, we'll take you inside the CattleFax Outlook Seminar to hear what the experts think about the year ahead.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us as we bring you special coverage from CattleCon 25 in San Antonio. We had an incredible turnout as thousands of cattlemen and women came to Texas for a valuable mix of business, education, networking, and a whole lot of fun. This event is also where a new president officially takes the reins of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. This year, that work will be done by Nebraska Feed Yard Manager Buck Werbine. Let's take a look at what life is like back home for Buck and his family.
As dawn breaks in eastern Nebraska, the feed trucks are already rolling at Meade Cattle Company. Buck Werbine has managed this feed yard for more than 25 years. He got started cattle feeding in Texas before moving back to Nebraska.
I think being part of the cattle business was a natural fit. I was born and raised on a small farm in eastern Nebraska. We had cattle, hogs, and chickens. My grandfather was a cattle feeder. My other grandfather from Germany was a dairy farmer, so I've been around bovine all my life. Checking cattle, looking at feed has never gotten old. So one of the cool things about working at a feedlot is in a position like mine, I can always come out here and look at livestock and get away. With cell phones, you don't get away, but kind of.
As much as he loves his daily work in the cattle business, Buck places an even higher priority on his faith and on the family he and his wife Sandy have raised.
I met Sandy when she was 16, and they moved from Omaha to Elkhorn, and I've never recovered. And so, married 52 years this year, and she's been a great helpmate and partner and supporter, and when we moved to Texas, she was all in.
At their home in Nebraska, Buck and Sandy enjoy every chance to grill a steak and share time with their family, which now even includes great-grandchildren.
To see your children have children is very rewarding, but then seeing them as grandparents and being all in, there's just nothing quite like it.
Similar to the dedication he has to family, Buck is also committed to the beef industry. He's served in a variety of NCBA leadership roles and at the state level on the Nebraska Beef Council.
Buck came to us as a board member, and we are really thrilled that he served for 8 years on our board. And after the first year, I said to him, what do you think? What have I done right? What do you need to know more? And he said, I had no idea the responsibility on my shoulders of making decisions for my fellow producers. And he said, next to church, this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
It's one thing to work in this business and be in this business and own the livestock and everything, but when you start talking about beef demand and what the checkoff can do and the operating committee and all those things, and then policy in Washington, you realize how much we need each other and how much our collective brains are a lot better than any of our individual brains.
As the 2025 president of NCBA, Buck sees both opportunities and challenges ahead for cattle producers.
I look back at some of the words of Mr. Springer that decided we need to have this organization, and what they were looking at, it was things we still have today, freight and taxes and government overreach. It's still going on. And so, you have to keep at that, and once again, having a unifying organization like NCBA is imperative, really, for that. If NCBA is not there working on our behalf, then nobody is. I remember going up to see one of our senators with Nebraska Cattlemen, and as we were leaving, the Humane Society of the United States was coming in. And of course I didn't know that. Michael Kelsey said, well, that's, And I realized, man, you cannot not be here because they're here. So it's just fundamentally, absolutely necessary, I think.
One NCBA policy priority is getting an extension of the tax cuts that will otherwise expire at the end of 2025.
Taxes are huge for us. They were talking about doing away with deduction of expenses some years back, and that would be devastating and catastrophic. And so we just can't ever take our foot off the gas on that. And the death tax, because we are such a high volume, low margin business, that with what land has done, if you have to sell it or split it up and pay the taxes on that at the time, I mean, it would put a lot of people out of business.
Buck Werbine looks forward to his year as NCBA President, aiming to provide strong business opportunities for everyone in the beef cattle industry.
The overarching principle and aim of NCBA is to make things better and make things in a way that where we can function and do our job. So that's a strength of NCBA, that we're not just big feedlots or big ranches. We're everybody.
And joining us now is the new president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Buck Werbine. Buck, thank you for coming today. And let's begin by talking a little bit about your journey to this position. It really started in your local community, didn't it?
Yes, we were living in the Amarillo, Texas area, and a member of Texas Cattle Feeders down there, Jay O'Brien, nominated me to be on the Young Cattlemen's and got me involved. And they had an exec named Richard McDonald who mentored me, and so that started me on the path of serving in this organization. My grandfather, I think, instilled in me the desire to serve something bigger than yourself, whether it's your church or an association like this. And so that's how it started, and I was blessed to have people like that through my career that encouraged me and helped me and mentored me.
When you talk about encouragement and mentorship, there's a whole host of younger generation producers that need that kind of mentorship. Let's talk about young producers for a minute. It's a difficult time to get established in the cattle business. What guidance and what are you going to do alongside NCBA this year to help promote the new generation of cattlemen and cattlewomen in our industry?
That's a good point. Sandy, my wife, and I were on the Young Cattlemen's Conference tour last summer and went around, and we've pretty well recovered from that, by the way, but a lot of young people with a lot of talent, a lot of noodle and good brain power and so forth. They're way ahead of where I was back when I went on that in the early 90s. They know the issues, they're able to speak about them. And so we as older producers need to encourage them to participate in that way and serve through the association work, state affiliates and so forth.
Yes.
And then as far as getting into the business, if you're not born into it, if you don't have some automatic way, everything has appreciated in value so much through inflation and simply land appreciation, cattle costs and so forth. It's a difficult, all of ag is difficult to enter. And so it's also incumbent upon those of us who have the wherewithal to perhaps find someone and help them to get into business. Not an easy task, but both being in the business and also serving, like with the association.
And I've always believed, I don't know if you agree, that sometimes it's more about resourcefulness, not just resources. If you're resourceful and creative, doors of opportunity open. Would you agree?
That's correct. Everybody's looking for someone that has ability and want to, and when you have those things, if you can get in contact with the people that need that, you're going to have some opportunity, for no doubt about it.
You mentioned some of the challenges that are going on in our industry, but there's also lots of excitement and opportunity. I'm curious, what are you most excited about as you look towards the future of the beef cattle industry?
Well, big picture, what we have done with our genetics and our animal husbandry and the products we use and so forth to have 85% choice and prime is just, 20 years ago, I would have said you're crazy if you said we were going to do that. And then here we are. This is what our consumers want. And so we're producing it. And as we come out of this drought and build the herd back, who knows, it might even be better than that. And so I'm very bullish. The middle class out in the world is growing. And I just think about, if you start to have all-inclusive resorts in Africa, where are they going to get the beef for those places? I mean, there's good beef produced around, but not the amount that we have. And so I'm very bullish in that way. And also, a lot of things are flowing our way in the country, and perhaps with the administration we have now, regulation tones down a little bit and so forth. And so hopefully that can continue for a while and business can get their feet back under them.
I totally agree. Well, we're excited to have you serving as president. I'm sure we'll talk to you much more throughout the year. Thanks for coming and good luck in the year ahead.
Thank you, Kevin.
Want to hear more of Buck's thoughts on the state of the beef industry? Then check out the Cattlemen's Call podcast, hosted by Lane Nordland. You can listen through your favorite podcast app or go to the ncba.org and click on the news link. He's also featured in the latest issue of the National Cattlemen. It's the official publication of NCBA and provides timely news and articles about the issues and events affecting the beef cattle industry. A subscription is included free of charge when you become a member. It's easy to do. Just call 866-233-3872 or you can visit ncba.org. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll have insights from the CattleFax Outlook Seminar and hear what the experts are saying about the markets for the coming year. Stay with us.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. There are big benefits to being a member. You'll get industry news in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus discounts just for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
I'm Megan Grebner. We're at CattleCon 2025 in San Antonio, and with us is Randy Block from CattleFax, one of the most popular sessions here at CattleCon. Let's talk cattle inventory numbers and where we're headed in 2025.
Well, we didn't get very many surprises on the cattle inventory report. We expected we'd be nearing the low in the beef cow numbers, and we believe we're there now. We expect to start to see a little more heifer retention unfold in 2025, and obviously, as we hold heifers back, we're going to see some reductions in fed slaughter in 2025 and again in 2026. So I would say everything's pretty well on track. We expected that this would be nearing the end of the cycle highs from a price standpoint, but the low in supply will not be until 2026.
Been a couple of really big weeks of reports. Cattle on feed came out, and then cattle inventory. How much are you watching that percentage of heifers on feed in those quarterly reports moving forward this year?
Oh, that's a big deal. You know, we always watch the number of heifers that are going on feed. It helps us give a good gauge on whether we are seeing expansion take place or not. I would remind all your listeners out there and followers that we have to make the adjustment in here because that number doesn't mean the same thing it did 5, 10, 15 years ago as a result of more beef dairy crosses that are on feed. Again, it skews those percentages, so the heifer numbers look bigger than what they actually are because of the inclusion of those cattle. Again, I would say they have to adjust about 2% from what we would have looked at over the last 30 to 40 years.
So we're talking a little bit of inventory. Let's talk price picture as you look ahead to 2025. Where are we headed?
Well, the market's off to a strong start. We've had a big push in these price levels in here really since the lows that we made back in August. The market's had a big push. If I remind your viewers here, the futures traded back to 175 in August, and we've just pushed up in here to nearly 210 with the April contracts. So the market's had a big rally since the late summer lows. We've been sold cattle up in here in the low teens in the north and the southern markets. So we've got a lot of the push in here. I would say the markets will average strong in 2025. We'll average in between $1.95 and $2 on fed cattle, but that would tell us we'll have ranges from 185 to 215. So, I mean, there's going to be plenty of volatility for everybody to deal with here in 2025 and 6.
Just one last question as we wrap up, Randy. How important is the consumer demand to this price picture?
Well, consumer demand is really what's driven the whole market situation. I mean, if we hadn't done such a good job of focus on quality as an industry, we wouldn't have prices close to where they are today. I shared with the audience today that the beef demand growth that we've experienced in the last 25 years has been worth $800 a head. I wouldn't say that if I wasn't very confident that that's the correct number. So it's a big deal. And again, you take $800 a head, that's the lion's share of the profitability we're seeing at the cow-calf levels. So it's paramount. Our business doesn't operate if we're not building the right kind of product that satisfies those consumer demands, and it tastes great and it's consistent day in and day out. So congratulations to all you producers out here that have spent your lifetime improving the quality out here. Our consumers love it and they're responding.
Randy, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
I'm Megan Grebner with Brownfield, reporting for Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, meteorologist Matt Macon stops by to discuss the long-term forecast. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You work hard to feed your herd and maintain your property. John Deere 6 Series tractors give you choices that fit your operation. 6E tractors are simple and easy to use around your ranch. See all the angles when moving snow or maneuver easily in tight spots with 6M tractors. Get more power and premium comfort with 6R tractors. Mixing feed, weighing bales, and loading goods have never been easier with new loader technologies on 6Rs. Ask your John Deere dealer to learn more.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining NCBA. When you join, you'll be part of the nation's oldest and largest national cattle industry organization that has a professional team working in Washington, D.C. on issues that matter to cattle-producing families nationwide. Don't stay on the sidelines. Make your voice heard by joining NCBA today at the website ncba.org.
I'm Megan Grebner. We're at CattleCon 2025 in San Antonio. With us is Matt Makins with CattleFax. Matt, let's talk kind of an overview of weather as we look ahead to 2025.
Sure. So the general idea for the year is we're in La Nina now. It slowly fades away, which is normal by summer. But then we likely see kind of this neutral La Nina come back next fall, which is exactly where we just came out of for this last fall into the winter. So yeah, more La Nina talks stay on the table, and El Nino's kind of back behind our shoulder here.
Let's talk about the rest of the winter months. We still have some cold temperatures ahead. What are you seeing in terms of snowfall, and how's that going to help some of those drought-stricken areas?
We're definitely going to get snows, okay? Midwest are going to get snows, but in terms of an average amount, it's going to be below average for the vast majority. Cold, Pacific Northwest, Northern High Plains, Montana in particular. Look out for mid-February and again in mid-March for kind of the coldest surges that may reach the southern plains. Odds aren't quite as strong as they were in January, but there are chances to get that cold. Moisture-wise will improve as we hit the spring months, especially to the east of the mountains.
When you think about weather, how does this shape up for spring and summer 2020? Let's start spring of 2025 and how that grass is going to shape up.
Well, we have better surface water in a lot of places that didn't have it. So that's going to be a good sign for soil moistures in that respect. We're going to need timely moisture, though. It's not like it's going to be a gangbusters wet spring. We got to have the timely moisture. high plains, got to get that early May, mid-May rain, or we're not going to have very good grass. And then as you work down to the south, we'll have more favorable conditions, but it's going to be that timing. And everybody knows their spot, their grass. I need rain May 15th. No, I need it the 23rd. That kind of deal. We're going to be in kind of that discussion as we go for grasses this summer.
Long-term outlook for drought conditions, what are we looking like into summer and then to fall of 2025?
So in the immediate future, drought growth for the south, the southwest. Watch that drought pocket of where it's expanding. It's going to shift to the northwest, northern plains, into the Canadian prairies. And people might think, what about this Montana, Wyoming drought that's so bad? Northern Colorado, that's going to continue to expand also. The monsoon kicks in midsummer to help some of those places, especially the south and southwest.
All right, there'll be plenty for us to watch throughout the year. Matt, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
From San Antonio, I'm Megan Grebner with Brownfield, reporting for Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, when we come back, we'll hear from this year's winner of NCBA's National Anthem Contest. Stay with us.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest and largest national cattle industry organization working to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus big discounts only for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
Did you know you can get reimbursed for attending cattle industry educational events? The Rancher Resilience Grant helps cattle producers attend valuable programs such as Cattlemen's College and Stockmanship and Stewardship training sessions. Local, state, and national events qualify for the grant, and successful applicants can receive money back to help cover registration fees and hotel expenses. To apply for the Rancher Resilience Grant, go to ncba.org and click on the Producer tab.
Each year at CattleCon, NCBA holds a contest sponsored by Norbrook to find a cattle producer to sing the national anthem at the opening general session. Let's meet this year's winner.
Well, friends, we're down on the floor of this year's NCBA trade show here in San Antonio, Texas, with the winner of the 12th annual CattleCon National Anthem Contest, Anna Higbee from Kansas. And of course, this fun and important contest is sponsored by our friends at Norbrook. And Anna, talk about what it was like this afternoon to sing America's favorite song, the Star Spangled Banner, in front of thousands and thousands of cattle producers here in the Lone Star State.
It was truly so honoring and just honestly humbling, and such a great opportunity just to be able to sing it in front of America's greatest cattlemen and cattlewomen.
Hey, that's an excellent answer, my friend. Now tell us a little bit about yourself, and obviously you have a passion for singing.
Yeah, I'm 14 from Quinnamo, Kansas. My family and I run a commercial Simmental cow-calf operation. I'm a fifth-generation cattle producer, and I'm blessed in the opportunity to show livestock all across the country since a very young age. And another thing is that I'm actually homeschooled, and that just allows me to be more actively involved in the day-to-day activities of our operation.
That is so cool. Now let's talk a little bit about what got you interested in the CattleCon National Anthem Contest.
Yeah, so I've been singing for a while, and I've always thought this contest was really cool because I've been attending these conventions for over a decade, and I wanted to wait till I was a little bit older to try it out. And when the time finally came and arose for me to finally possibly be on the stage versus in the seats at the opening session, I decided to go for it. And when I made top 4 finalists, the excitement was just beyond crazy. And here we are. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just give a shout out to our friends at Norbrook for sponsoring this contest here at CattleCon to make this opportunity available for young people with a passion for singing, a passion for the beef cattle industry, and of course the passion for our national anthem.
Yeah, such a great opportunity. If you're passionate about the cattle industry, it's so awesome because like this for me, it combines two things that I'm extremely passionate about, the cattle industry and singing. It's just totally amazing.
All right, last question, then I'm going to let you go. Is this something you would encourage other young people across America to get involved with and maybe put their name in the hat for next year's National Anthem contest?
I definitely do. It's a great opportunity to learn, and it's just always good to put yourself out there, even at a young age.
Hey, well said. And what Anna just said goes and goes for a lot of different things in life, especially those of us in agriculture. Again, congratulations to Anna Higby from Kansas, the 12th annual CattleCon National Anthem Award winner, singing Old Glory here at this year's CattleCon in San Antonio, Texas. And again, a big thank you to our sponsor, Norbrook, for making this fun and important contest even available.
Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.